The morning after Eliza left, Daniel sat on the edge of the bed, a baby in each arm. Lily in pink, Jonah in blue, both crying, both unaware their mother was gone for good. He didn't cry, not yet. He couldn't. There wasn't time for heartbreak when there were mouths to feed and diapers to change. At first, every day was a blur. Sleep became a stranger. He burned meals, spilled bottles, and sometimes cried quietly over the kitchen sink while the twins napped in the next room. He fumbled through parenting books he borrowed from the local library. His hands, once skilled with chisels and wood, grew clumsy with bottles and blankets. But he never gave up, because they needed him, and because he loved them with a kind of love that left no room for self-pity. The town watched in quiet awe. A poor man, abandoned, raising twins alone. Neighbors brought hand-me-down clothes, casseroles, and tips on teething remedies. His workshop became a nursery half the time. He built high chairs out of scrap wood and turned old shelves into toy chests. He carved each child a wooden animal, an owl for Lily, a bear for Jonah, and painted them by candlelight. Money was tighter than ever. Daniel worked during naps with one baby strapped to his chest and the other in a basket beside his workbench. He bartered whenever he could, fixing fences in exchange for milk, building cabinets in return for firewood. He learned how to stretch $1 until it nearly snapped. But in the evenings when the world quieted, Daniel would lie on the floor between the cradles and sing softly, his voice cracking, not from age but from the weight of everything he carried alone. Still, in those moments, surrounded by soft breathing and tiny fingers gripping his shirt, he felt peace. Lily grew first, curious and bright, always touching, always asking. She learned to talk early and never stopped. Jonah was quieter, more watchful, his little brow furrowed even as a toddler, always sensing when Daniel was tired and offering small, silent comforts. A touch on the hand, a head rested on his knee. Years passed. They walked to school each morning hand in hand. Daniel packed their lunches in old tins and stitched their backpacks when they tore. When Lily came home crying after a girl mocked her for her second-hand shoes, Daniel took her to the workshop. That night, he made her a pair of carved wooden barrettes shaped like butterflies. She wore them every day until she outgrew them. Jonah struggled in school at first, slow to read, slow to speak, but Daniel sat with him every night, patient and kind. "We'll go at your speed, buddy," he'd say. And slowly, Jonah began to flourish. When other fathers were busy at work or out of town, Daniel was always there. At every recital, every game, every heartbreak. He never had much to give, no new bikes or fancy vacations, but he gave them himself. Every hour, every ounce of strength, every drop of love. He kept Eliza's photo on the mantle. When the twins asked, he never lied. "She left because she was hurting," he told them, "but she gave me the 2 best gifts I've ever had." By the time Lily graduated high school as valedictorian, Daniel sat in the front row in a threadbare suit, his hands trembling as he clapped. She spoke of resilience and love, her voice strong as she pointed to him. "My father," she said, "taught me what it means to sacrifice, to hope, and to never give up, no matter what the world gives you." When Jonah became a skilled mechanic, opening his own little shop behind Daniel's, he surprised him with a carved plaque. For Dad. Builder of more than wood. That night, for the first time in years, Daniel let himself cry. It had been nearly 2 decades since Eliza had left. The seasons had passed over Daniel like waves, wearing him down, shaping him, but never breaking him. The twins were now young adults, standing tall on the foundation of the life he built with worn hands and sleepless nights. One autumn morning, as golden leaves rustled outside his workshop, a car pulled into the gravel driveway. It was sleek, black, and out of place. Daniel wiped his hands on a rag and stepped outside. She stood beside the car, a woman both familiar and foreign. Eliza. Her hair was still styled to perfection, though a touch of gray shimmered at her temples. Her clothes were expensive, but her posture lacked the confidence it once held. Her eyes met his, uncertain, searching. "I heard about Lily," she said quietly. "Her scholarship. And Jonah's shop. I didn't know until recently. I wanted to see them." Daniel stood still. The ache in his chest returned, not as sharp as it once was, but heavy. He looked past her, into the trees, where he had once stood rocking infants in his arms, praying for strength. "They're adults now," he said gently. "You'll have to ask them yourself." She nodded. "Do you think they'd hate me?" Daniel looked her in the eyes. "They might, or they might just want answers. Either way, it's their choice now." She came back the next day and the day after that, waiting by the old porch with hopeful eyes. Eventually, Lily came home from college to visit. She didn't expect to see her mother on the steps. There was a long silence. "You left," Lily said, arms crossed, voice steady. "You left us." "I did," Eliza said, tears already forming. "I wasn't strong enough. I thought I was doing what was best, but I was wrong." Lily didn't cry. She didn't scream. She simply sat beside her, stiff at first, and said, "Tell me everything." No lies. Jonah was less forgiving. He arrived 2 days later, saw Eliza in the kitchen with Lily, and turned around to leave. Daniel stopped him on the porch. "You don't have to forgive her," he said, "but I think it's worth hearing her out." Jonah returned later that night. He didn't say much, just sat at the table across from Eliza and listened while she talked. He didn't soften right away, but something in his eyes shifted. In the days that followed, there were many hard conversations. There was anger, tears, silence, but also something unexpected, the beginning of understanding. Eliza didn't ask to stay. She came and went, respecting the space they needed. She visited often, helping in small ways, bringing books for Lily, parts for Jonah's shop, sharing quiet cups of tea with Daniel on the porch. Daniel and Eliza never rekindled their marriage. Too much had been broken. But with time, they found a sort of peace, like old trees that had once grown close, now standing side by side again, no longer entwined but rooted in the same soil. And the twins, scarred but strong, learned something from both their parents. From Eliza, the pain of mistakes. From Daniel, the power of staying. And from both, a lesson about forgiveness, not as something owed, but as something earned.